Our last video, we just talked about how to close early sales. And in that vein, one of the most common follow-up questions that we've gotten from you all is, hey, if I'm reaching out to do a lot of these sales, I'm getting a lot of objections. So today we'll be covering how to actually effectively handle these objections to really move the needle forward. So without further ado, let's launch on right in. Hi everyone, my name is Shuo Chen. I am a former founder, now investing in founders and teaching founders at Berkeley and Stanford. I'm also on the board here at DECODE, where we are the largest founder community co-host across Berkeley and Stanford. I've had the fortune of personally investing in more than 100 pre-seed and seed stage startups. Out of them, more than a dozen have had very successful exits from acquisitions to IPOs. And so I want to share with you a little bit more from my experiences of working with these pre-seed and seed stage founders firsthand and helping them grow all the way to a successful exit. What are some of the best practices that I've seen in how founders effectively handle sales objections? So without further ado, I want to dive on right into our top 3 tactics for today. Right before we get into our very first tactic, just a very quick announcement. The DECODE annual conference is coming up very soon on November 15th on campus at UC Berkeley. For those of you who are based in the Bay Area or are looking for an excuse to visit the Bay Area, please feel free to check out more information down below. We'll be hosting conversations, not just main stage, but also intimate roundtable discussions with speakers like the Chief Product Officer of OpenAI, founders of startups like Higgsfield, and investors such as the founding partner of Lightspeed Venture Partners. So this will be a great opportunity for you to have intimate conversations with these folks, not only at the conference, but through roundtable discussions and the dinner, and potentially demo your product to investors, as well as connect with fellow founders who may end up being your co-founder or early hires as part of your team. And hopefully you'll be able to walk out of this conference not only having identified investors, but also having found great advisors and mentors, as well as found other co-founders and early hires to be an important part of your team. So with that, I want to move on to our top 3 tactics today for effectively handling sales objections. So getting into our first tactic for today, it is really seeing objections as signals. So inevitably, as part of a sales-led motion or any kind of sales you'll be reaching out to a lot of people, and you'll of course hear back objections. You want to generally treat each pushback as an opportunity to help you understand what matters most to this prospect that you're reaching out to. And this is a great opportunity for you to show clarity, value, or trust if that's what's missing. So for example, if your sales prospect comes back to you and says, we're already using a competitor, this is where you want to sharpen your differentiation. You want to be super clear what value you offer that's different than other competitors in the space. Or, you might get a pushback where someone says, hey, call me back next quarter, it's not now. Then perhaps you want to respond by showing some sort of urgency or missed opportunity if they weren't speaking with you earlier. Generally speaking, sales objections are great because the worst thing that can happen is you reach out and you hear nothing back. And when you hear nothing back, it can be a signal for, hey, you need to personalize this message better. But whenever people respond and actually share some sort of a pushback or an objection, that's an even clearer signal for how you can improve. You want to use these objections to help you test your pitch, refine your messaging, and uncover any sort of hidden needs. As you go through this process, you want to log and just track every single objection, and over time, categorize them by type. So are people pushing back on the timing, on the price, or that they just don't trust you enough, or is it that it's not relevant enough for them? And as you track this, you want to start to identify patterns. What are the objections that are repeating, and when do they tend to pop up in the conversation? And then based on these patterns, you want to adjust your messaging to address some of the top recurring objections upfront in any sort of future outreach that you do. And generally speaking, you want to ask follow-up questions to help you dig deeper and understand better what the underlying causes of these objections are. For example, you can ask if they say, hey, I'm already really happy with my existing solution. You can ask a question like, what about your current solution is working well for you? Just so you understand what's working well and not. So as you're treating each pushback or objection as an opportunity, and you're using these objections to help you refine your messaging and improve your product, and as you're tracking this, identifying patterns and using it to actually adjust your messaging and help you understand the customers better, then you're effectively able to really see objections as signals that help you improve and not as rejections, period. That takes us into our tactic 2 today, which is you want to handle objections with a certain rhythm. Every single objection should be handled by following a simple rhythm of 4 A's. 1, A is agree, 2A is address, 3A is accelerate, and 4th A is act. So you want to start by agreeing, which is putting yourself in your prospect's shoes, whether they're an investor or a potential customer, and you want to just acknowledge why they might not want to move forward. So you agree with their objection first. Then you want to address the objection head on, and you want to tailor the value you bring to the table based on your prospect's objections. So if they're saying, hey, we are already using someone else that we're happy with, then you want to address, hey, why this existing solution that they're using might not actually be as good as they think they are. And then that takes you to the 3rd A, which is accelerate. You want to accelerate the process by creating some sort of urgency. Your goal here is to convince your prospect why they need to act quickly. And that takes us to the 4th A, which is act. You want to close your prospect with a clear call to action. You want to have a clear action plan, such as maybe booking a 5-minute call with you via a calendar link or some very specific action step that you want them to take. So overall, you want to handle every single objection with a rhythm of these 4 A's. You want to agree with them, address the objection head on, accelerate the process, and close this prospect with some sort of specific action. Once you're able to get into this rhythm of handling objections, then that takes us into the 3rd tactic for today, which is you want to personalize your response to objections by tailoring based off of existing templates. That means that you want to start with existing templates as a baseline, and then you want to tailor it specifically to your use case. So starting with existing templates as a baseline, I want to give you some quick examples. We'll also show a screenshot of all the different templates that you can leverage as a baseline, but some quick examples we'll go through here. So for example, if your prospect says, we're already using your competitor, then following the rhythm of the 4 A's, you can say something like, totally understand where you're coming from. My last client actually just came from this other competitor, XYZ, that you mentioned, and they also said the exact same thing. Let's grab 30 minutes next week so I can show you why they decided to make the switch, even though they were already using this other competitor. You can, depending on the context, even cite specifically why this last client decided to move from competitor XYZ and offer to share more context on a quick call. You could also have someone push back with an objection like, hey, follow up again next week. And you could respond with something like, totally understand, again, totally fair, but just a heads up, my calendar fills up pretty fast. Let's pencil something in now for next week. Let's not just wait until next week just to make sure I can hold a spot for you. What would be easiest for you? Either put me in touch with your with your personal assistant, your PA, or I can share with you a calendar link. And of course, if someone says follow up next week because I'm traveling and it's not convenient this week, you can of course schedule that follow up for next week. But if they don't necessarily cite a reason and just say follow up later, this is where you do want to add some urgency. You might also get a kind of objection where they clearly tell you, actually, I'm already using a competitor and the competitor is cheaper. This is where you can respond with something like, absolutely, this competitor, they are cheaper. So are these 5 other people in the field that I'm very familiar with. But, we're not here because we're the cheapest solution. We're here because we actually solve your XYZ problem better in these quantifiable ways. Let's set some time aside next week so we can show you the difference. You might get another kind of pushback in terms of time where it's not just follow up next week because I'm traveling this week. They might have an even longer time horizon, which is like, hey, reach back out next quarter. This is where you would treat it slightly differently. And you want to respond something like, totally get it. Some of our pricing is actually going up next quarter. So I'd love to get you in before that pricing increase happens. Maybe let's get something on the calendar now so we can chat through why this quarter might end up being a better fit for you than next quarter. So you see how if the pushback on time is just immediate logistically next week, you address it very differently than if it's a follow-up next quarter. And then, lastly, in this last bucket of potential objections you might have, they might not necessarily be using a competitor or they're cheaper. They might just say something like, we're happy with the current setup. And so they're not addressing specific companies they're already using. This is where you can say something like, so was your neighbor, your colleague, your friend, your peer at this XYZ company, which is a client of ours, until, XYZ specifically broke down and they really had to make a rush decision. So it's actually better to evaluate solutions before there's a burning need. Do you want to grab a quick 10, 15-minute call next week so I can tell you more about why this other company X decided to swap over to us? And the last example of an objection I'll share with you is, someone might say, we don't buy from startups. This is where you can respond with something like, my client actually, my last client who just swapped over to us actually said the same thing. And we completely understand why you might not want to work with a startup. But our clients swapped over to us because they saw just how quickly we can move compared to the big guys and how little technical debt we bring and how much innovation we bring to the table. And of course, tech doesn't wait. I don't want you to feel left behind compared to other competitors who are using our solution to actually move faster. So let's hop on a quick call and let me show you what's actually coming in terms of all the new features and capabilities just next week. So these are all examples of potential templates that you can leverage to help you move faster. But once you have a baseline for a template, this is where you want to show empathy on top of that by actually personalizing your message to the specific person you're chatting with and based on research of this person's publicly available information. You might want to check out the latest social media posts that they've made. You want to check out what social media posts they most recently actually interacted with and engaged with. And check out their website if there's any. So any sort of public information you can find, you can actually personalize the message to say, I understand that you don't buy from startups, but I did notice that you actually just like this other post that's done by a fellow startup in the space. So it looks like you are following what startups are building. I want to tell you what's coming next. That's not publicly available information. So let's hop on a call so you can always be in the know on the latest features. So that could be a personalized version of how to respond to we don't buy from startups. So with that, you want to leverage baselines and personalize based on these baseline templates. And once you're able to personalize these existing templates, then you have a much more authentic response to any potential objections. So all of these three tactics, one, seeing objections as signals, where you're using objections to actually test and refine your pitch. Two, handling objections with a rhythm of agree, address, accelerate, and act. And three, personalizing your responses based on existing templates. All of this is to help you effectively handle objections so that you can not only respond to it and convert them into paying customers eventually, but also use this to actually improve your product and sales process. With that, if you want to learn more about other traps to avoid in this process, we'll hyperlink that below, as well as other tools that you can leverage to help you actually effectively navigate this sales process. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and share this video with any other fellow founders that you are familiar with that might be struggling with similar challenges. And if you have any follow-up questions or things that we can help address based on this video, please don't forget to leave us a comment below our video or reach out to us directly on LinkedIn and email. That's actually how this video was even created. It was based off of the most popular response to our last video. So we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, and we look forward to seeing you at the next week's session. Thanks a ton. Take care.